Reserve time.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to the GameShow Global Esports Cup. It's going to be the losers match. Team81 going up against Goomba Gaming, and loser is just out. And, well, winner has another shot. They're going to have a future date with the Warriors, who just lost, but we'll see who that is actually going to be. I'm Mikelorus, going to be joined by GrandisV for this game. It's been a long day, but just 2 more games left, dude, and this one should be pretty interesting. It seems like actually we have some different names. Not sure if they're the same people or not.
I'd assume they're the same people. Hopefully they are. I have no idea. Either way, they've been asked to use their official names, so we'll just call them how we see them.
I don't even know how to call the first person on Goomba.
Yeah, I think we'd have to ask somebody else for that one.
I think. I see Tolera on Team81. That's a name that I used to cast way back when. So, yeah, good to see him back. But either way, this is going to be the losers match. Neither team had much success versus Ancient Warriors for Goomba versus Abraxas for Team81. So, yeah, they obviously want to win this one, have another shot. But we'll see, as they do have to play 2 in a row. So, I don't know how much that's going to impact them, but it may get to their stress levels if this game really does go the distance. For right now, though, looks like a lot of the annoying heroes, a lot of the powerful heroes are going to be banned out. Winter Wyvern is still in the pool, so I'm pretty surprised to see that from Team81. Brood getting a rather early ban, and then they're going to grab a Shadow Fiend. I feel like that's kind of redundant, but it's Brood Mother. Can't really blame him.
Yeah, for sure. And in a best of one, you don't want to risk somebody going for just a super annoying hero early on and you not being able to appropriately deal with it. It would feel really bad to lose a best of one to a Brood Mother and then just be out of the tournament. Shadow Fiend Darkseer, the opener for Goomba, is they'll add a little bit of extra utility to their team with the Darkseer pick. Shadow Fiend and Darkseer might be a little bit on the slower side, but once they get that first round of items, like a Blink Up on the Darkseer or a Mech on the Darkseer to free up the Shadow Fiend and go for an earlier S and Y or something along that lines, then they can start fighting very early. Whereas for Team 81, they're going to be more experience reliant. Once you get like level 8 on the Queen of Pain and 6 on the Tusk, you can very easily roam around the map and get kills even without having a vast amount of farm and then accelerate your team that way. So the playstyles from both of these sides are going to be slightly different, especially when it comes to the timing windows that they're trying to get aggressive already with the first 4 picks that we see on the board.
You mentioned the S and Y and the Shadow Fiend. We've seen when the Shadow Fiend is with Darkseer or with let's say any mech carrier, Shadow Fiend either goes for the S and Y if he looks to play for a little bit more of a longer game, or looks to go for sometimes into a Shadow Blade. It's a more interesting way to go, in my opinion. It is more prone to failure, or at least a lot easier to fail with that Shadow Blade, since it could just rot in your inventory if you don't get enough kills. But Goomba Gaming really do have those options. If they want to step up the heat, if they want to suddenly grab a Jakiro and start pushing, they can go ahead and do that with this SF. So that is something that Team 81 has to be careful of. But they're going to grab a Dazzle, is somehow still in the pool, and, well, is going to be snagged up right now. They have the combo to make Dazzle a little bit more of an offensive hero with that Tusk. You snowball in, drop a massive heal bomb. Even though you may not have any minus armor, you're still going to be wrecking people with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just the raw amount of damage from the other 2 heroes will make up for Dazzle's slight weakness in that regard. Even though the heal bomb on multiple heroes can be potent, it's not as good as you'd like it to be from your support role. The Queen of Pain and Tusk are going to be more than enough, however. And I think this is a great enabler hero for Team 81, because right now Goomba just don't have the appropriate lockdown to stop Grave TP from being a fairly reliable escape mechanism. That said, they should be looking to remedy that with their next couple of picks.
And these next couple picks are really going to be determining or at least they should be determining the item builds for the Shadow Fiend. Obviously more aggressive is Shadow Blade, obviously slower is going to be S and Y. I don't really think there are any other options other than that. I don't think I've seen a Shadow Fiend go for any other alternative. Like, I guess Blink maybe seems kind of outdated. It's a disruptor for right now, and usually that doesn't indicate a ton, but for Goomba Gaming, it does kind of indicate that they don't want to, go all out turbo push, end the game within 20 minutes or anything like that. They're just going to have the answer to the Queen of Pain. It is something that Tusk does answer pretty well with that snowball, but hey, a disruptor is a disruptor, and that means that the enemy team is not going to grab it to counter your Darkseer.
Yeah, it is a bit of a slower pick, and also that counter doesn't come online till a little bit later once Disruptor gets levels. Disruptor is kind of an awkward hero when it comes to how he scales in the game. Early on, Glimpse is pretty pathetic, but once you get higher points into it, that amount of utility can be amazing when you start getting some fights on your own terms and force the enemy to retreat, and then you can start picking them apart from there. We'll have to see if that aggressive window for Goomba is going to line up nicely for them. And right now, it feels like their time windows are fairly synergistic. For Team 81, on the flip side of that coin, we still have a lot of questions still about what their draft is trying to do. The Dazzle, Tusk, and Queen of Pain are all very good heroes in a vacuum, but we don't know where they're going to end up going. I think the only thing we know for sure is Dazzle is going to be played as a support, although in theory, you could run him somewhere else. There's no real reason to. The Tuscan Queen of Pain still have that fluidity. And now we're going to see a Lena pick for Team 81. Another one that's really not going to answer any questions. Is this mid or is this support?
I feel like it's probably slightly better as a support. I would rather have Queen of Pain mid. We just saw 2 Queen of Pain off lanes. Who knows what this team is going to do with that QoP. Dazzle... Well, I mean, and the power of Dazzle Tusk you really want to keep together, right? So maybe they could even look towards dual lanes. I don't know if Dazzle Tusk is powerful enough with just the 2 of them to really be truly effective up against any given Goomba safe laner. But for 81, I don't know, maybe like Lena mid, Queen of Pain bottom, and then run an offensive tri-lane with Tusk Dazzle +1. Get someone who could really make use of being in close. Usually that hero is going to be a Slardar nowadays, but there are tons of heroes that can do some work while being close. Like just like a Sven, who doesn't even have to be that close, can be the last piece of that puzzle. For Goomba, though, they're going to grab a Razor. Definitely looking to play things a little bit on the slower side. The Razor's matchups kind of actually bad. Like, okay versus Lena, I suppose, but versus Queen of Pain, not that great. You can't steal any damage from her since she'll straight blink out every single time. Not too sure if I like this hero.
Yeah, in general, I think Razor has been very lukewarm for me. A couple of games I've seen him work out, but generally that's when the lane matchup is very good. Like something like a Templar Assassin or an Invoker, a hero that relies almost exclusively on their right clicks to get CS. Worst case scenario for Lena, you're going to be CSing with Dragon Slaver. Worst case scenario for Queen of Pain, you're going to be CSing with your Scream. But as you already kind of mentioned, Queen of Pain has that natural way to disengage from the static link, and I think the biggest benefit for this Razor pick is the fact that it's going to be a carry that's willing to group up when that timing window hits, that Shadowfiend gets his first major item and Darkseer gets his mech. So we'll have to see what that's going to mean for Goomba and if they're able to take any massive objectives off of it. But as a whole, I think this Razor pick is leaving a little bit to be desired this game, although it still is fairly synergistic with what they want to be doing with their team. So in that sense, it's a good pick. The lanes are going to be a little bit less than desirable, though.
Well, Spirit Breaker out, Ember Spirit out for right now. Team 81 still have their options fairly open. Like, the versatility here from 81 is really, really high with all of their heroes. So again, it does come down to really what they want. Goomba are the type of draft that isn't really prone to being hard countered, though. Like, how exactly do you hard counter a Razor? I don't think there's any way to do it. Shadowfiend the exact same way. Both those heroes typically pretty similar. I don't know. Goomba's draft seems like it's a little bit too low damage. Like, the Razor can do a lot of damage, as can the Shadowfiend, but I don't know. It really does lack that punch. It really lacks that oomph to get those kills and then get out. If they are going to get into a super elongated fight, they'll probably win it, but it's so easy to avoid super elongated fights.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they have good heroes for those disengages. Well, for Team 81, let's see how they're going to round everything out. Probably going to be lacking a safe laner. I really don't know. It's another one of those drafts that could be shuffled around in any number of different orientations here for their side. The dual lanes that you suggested earlier with the Tusk Dazzle and then Lena +1 are fairly attractive, and Anti-Mage would work reasonably there, although this does open up an aggressive lane with the Razor. And leave the Darkseer solo safe, or maybe safe with one support, just to apply as much pressure as possible to this Anti-Mage. I'm not sure if Dazzle and Lena are enough to peel them off of it, but still, it's by no means the weakest of lanes. We'll have to see how that plays out. Anti-Mage, I think, is a reasonable choice here for Team 81. You have Darkseer, who's going to be using a large lump sum of his mana pool whenever he drops his spells inside the fight, and can very easily turn into a Mana Void bomb. Goomba Gaming need to make sure that they end this before Anti-Mage becomes super relevant. Farm Anti-Mage will be very hard for them to lock down, even though they have the Disruptor. They don't have enough substantial lockdown outside of that. The Darkseer vacuum leaves a lot to be desired.
The 4 of the 4 Protect 1 here from 81 is just super capable at this stage. Not, decisively stronger than the 4 Goomba gaming heroes, and, well, I'm sure the 5th Goomba gaming hero as well, going to add some power to that. But these are the type of heroes that you want to have protecting an Anti-Mage, and as far as the Goomba's ability to kill off an Anti-Mage, kind of limited. Razor and Shadowfiend don't do anything but just minor amounts of damage. I mean, damage, let's just say. No lockdown whatsoever coming out of those two heroes. Disruptor, Darkseer have kind of some, but really not the types that you want up against the Anti-Mage to kill them off reliably. Static Storm is great if you can land it. The Glimpse is great if you still have vision. But aside from that, this Anti-Mage is going to be pretty darn durable, not to mention the fact that he has Dazzling Tusk behind him. So even if you do catch him in a Static Storm, no guarantee that you have enough damage to kill him off. Their last pick is the support, and really does need to be really anyone with some form of crowd control effect. Obviously, the more the better. Maybe someone like a Lion, because the same holds true for the Queen of Pain.
It depends on how passively they want to lay these lanes, and right now it's going to be a Tree and Protector. Although the Darkseer Tree combination is pretty legit, don't get me wrong. Vacuum back into the Overgrowth is very good, and the extra map control that a Tree and Protector with Ags would be able to offer you is nice. I think that having a secondary Initiator would have served Goomba maybe a little bit better. The advantage of having this tree is it's going to make it really hard for the Tusk in particular to find kills around the map. The Living Armor shuts that down very easily. Tusk needs every bit of damage that he can muster, really. He stretches that very thin, especially when played in more offlaner, supporty roles. So Tree and Protector, I think, will be able to function in that regard. And also the Overgrowth stops the blinks from the Anti-Mage and Queen of Pain until you have the Mantis Style and the Anti-Mage, and maybe even a Yules from the Quap, although BKB will be more likely, but later down the line. I still think I would have liked to see something like a Sand King or Lion, but yeah, sure, why not? Let's see if it works out for Goomba Gaming. They have a lot of synergy within their own team.
I feel like as a team, they kind of have to play the dominate the lanes, not even just win the lanes. They have to dominate them. That's when, when you grab a tree, that usually is the game plan. Then just steamroll forward, not give Anti-Mage any space to farm, because we've seen Shadow Fiend dominate lanes, we've seen Razors dominate lanes. Afterwards, pushing towers is kind of the weak point here for Goomba. Like, you would really want to have someone with, like, I'm not necessarily a DK, but someone who can push, like a hero or a DK style of hero, to really make use of the fact that Razor, Shadow Fiend, and Darkseer are very consistent in their lanes and will be even bolstered even a little bit more so by this Tree and Protector. They really do lack that, so they're going to have to get quite a few kills, and again, they don't really have that much crowd control pre-level 6 to get those kills. I don't know, Goomba's, their draft may just have like a pretty good early start, may get like a 5k, 6k lead, and then suddenly fall off because they can't actually do anything in the mid game with these heroes, at least not effectively, whereas Team81, they can hold that down pretty well. I'm liking Team81's draft a lot more, honestly, than Goomba's.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Not to say that they're going to lose this game. I think Goomba have a shot when it comes to their individual skill and could very easily ride that momentum from the early game laning advantage. But it does apply pressure on them to end this game. They're the ones that have to dictate the pace of it without having heroes that are incredibly good at doing so. If they are able to find the space and get that Aghanim Scepter up on the tree, get all of their core items online, they do have a time where it's very scary for Team 81 to move around this map. And I am not entirely off of the idea that this could be some sort of aggressive lane to stop the Anti-Mage from getting nearly as much as he would if it was just a Darkseer down there. Now, only time will tell. Hopefully this pause won't be lasting too long. I suppose I'll go ahead and introduce the Team 81 side. We're going to have Barash on the Queen of Pain. That's probably not his full name, Brashik, rather. Arceus on the Lina, Lench on the Anti-Mage, Tolera on the Tusk, and Yoda on the Dazzle.
And for Goomba, Wee Wambo just loaded in as the tree. We got Chill on the Darkseer, Edie is on the Disruptor, Shadow Fiend is here too, and we got Razor playing by Scavo. I don't know what the hell happened to his name. In the first Goomba game, he didn't have a name that was this freaking long, if it even was the same person, but either way, we're going to have the TPs out. It's going to be a non-conventional one. Usually you want to put this Observer Ward into the enemy jungle, as Tolera is doing right now. He's going to get that one down and he'll be fine. Edie wants to get eyes on the Ancient. Where are you going?
Well, he's going to place down a very good ward. This ward offers vision on the high ground, across the ramp, and across that area, and isn't commonly dewarded. When you see a rotation like that, you'll probably place your sentry somewhere around there to scout out vision over here to see if it was placed down on that high ground, but that might not be the case. So we'll have to see if they get a good read on where that ward was placed. If it stands, this is going to make the Shadow Fiend feel a lot more comfortable, knowing that the Queen of Pain, either has backup, in which case he'll be able to play defensively enough, or knows that she doesn't have backup, and he can push his advantage a little bit. He will be able to gain that when he picks up more souls later and later. And as the game goes by, the Treant Protector's advantage of having that global living armor also helps quite a lot. It'll enable the Shadow Fiend to play a lot more aggressively than he otherwise would.
Team 81 definitely know about this Observer Ward. They saw the Disruptor leave, and, well, I mean, they know that there's some vision somewhere in this area. They're choosing not to actually get rid of it, so it seems like they're okay with being spotted out. If that means that they are just going to have 1v1 in the mid lane, I mean, that seems pretty reasonable. Shadow Fiend versus Queen of Pain is a lane that the Queen of Pain is very comfortable in. Even after having picked up Blink level 1 for some reason, Barasha could have just as easily walked around and avoided this, but either way, yeah, being spotted, probably not a big deal for the Queen of Pain, though it is going to let Goomba play a little bit more aggressively with what? Like a Disruptor that's not really going to fly that well. On the top lane, it's going to be the Tusk off lane, it seems. Going to get a block off. That is not actually a full block off. So that was kind of unsuccessful. Talera's lane is going to be not that bad, actually. Like, he'll be pushed out. He's not going to get any gold for sure, but a lot of experience, at least a lot of potential experience. However, this is bad. Getting into a fight with the tree is never a good thing. Take my word for it. Takes 3 punches and is already down to half HP.
Yeah, with boots on the tree, you just can't find a situation where Talera is going to be comfortable to take those shots. The Disruptor right now is sitting behind the Shadow Fiend, trying to offer as much help as possible, and the SF is benefiting from this quite a bit. He's going to find himself a couple of early souls once he gets his level 2, but for now, did go for raise 1 to make sure he's able to get his bottle as soon as possible. Which I suppose is the more reliable way to go about it, but maybe he's regretting that a little bit. He was, or he did use the raise to get one of those CS, but as a whole, I think it would have been fine with Wraith Band start. You know what, it's fine either way, up to personal preference, and now he has Necromastery, so that point is moot. Down the bottom lane, it's just going to be a solo Darkseer. Killing off this Darkseer is going to be very difficult. Landing a free-handed LSA, or an LSA set up by a Poison Touch is incredibly easy, and usually Darkseer should be able to surge away after the fact, but still a situation arises where he's completely zoned out by Arceus and by the Dazzle, similarly to the Tusk, although a little bit worse for him when it comes to experience, and right now is not getting any CS from those Ion Shells. They've been denied, or in general just didn't happen.
Well, they're going to lose a little bit of control over this lane, and it will give Chill level 2, so now Surge is up. Not going to be, you know, the end-all of protection spells, but it'll definitely help him survive in this lane. And if worse comes to worse, it's a Darkseer. He can freely go into the jungle, whereas for Talera, he can't. As the Tusk, he can rotate over towards the Shadow Fiend, and that is a very dangerous hero for the Shadow Fiend to deal with, especially with the Blinking Queen of Pain. But for the most part, this Tusk is all stuck up here. He's going to snowball, dodge a little bit of Leech Seed damage, but still is going to take quite a few punches in the face from this Treant Protector, and is actually going to give double damage. Oh, jeez. Okay, Wee Wambo can actually just slaughter anyone with this, but he's not going to give it. He's not going to take it, rather. He's going to give it to Edie.
Interesting. The Disruptor is going to have the range advantage to get a little bit more pokes in onto the Tusk, so maybe that'd help, but the killing potential with the double damage tree is definitely a little bit higher. Right now, Tusk is going to look to operate a side pull, but Treant Protector is going to say no to that, opens up with Leech Seed, and Talera is in a bit of trouble here, forced to snowball. He's going towards the Disruptor, it seems, running away. Looks like he'll be fine. It's only a level 1 Disruptor after all. If there was a point in Glimpse or even Kinetic Field, maybe there's some killing potential, but that's not going to happen.
Well, that's fine anyway. They keep the Tusk in the kind of in the dark in this top lane. Can't really get a ton over towards bottom now. Chill is going to get cut off. This is a really bad angle for Chill to be. He's going to try to surge around the Lina. LSA still connects though, and now he's out of Surge. There is no anti-mage here, but with 2 ranged heroes here, get a minor heal bomb. Chill, ooh, is still going to get away. Darkseer just way too tanky with 10 freaking armor at level 3. But still, that's a lot of free damage being applied by this Lina and the Dazzle. Every point of damage you apply to the Darkseer is regen down the tubes, means that Lunch gets that much more free farm. This anti-mage is really happy down here, and is naturally just, even if he was struggling in 1v1 scenario, is a naturally good hero to have versus Darkseer. You trade hits, you burn his mana pool, and then once that happens, you're usually going to be winning any future damage trades.
Yeah, and also it's going to mean that Darkseer is probably going to consider, at the very least, going into the woods. His ward that was placed down, I believe, has been dewarded by the enemy side, or even if it was, it didn't block the camps. They're going to have the pulls available, and Darkseer found himself level 3. Chill is, in fact, going to go back down towards this bottom lane and try to do as best he can to get farm, but It's not a great time to be the Darkseer. Anti-Mage is at the point where he doesn't care about Ion Shells nearly as much, with 1 point in Spell Shield and the Ring of Health already up and running, and still has a salve remaining from the very early laning stage. The double Ion Shell is not necessarily something that he wants to tank, but Anti-Mage should be doing just fine.
Oh, Barashik is going to find himself a regen rune after getting into a little bit of a fist fight with the Shadow Fiend. Is going to be very happy about that. SF grabs are just a normal bounty, and he's actually being followed by creeps. Actually losing quite a bit of HP. Wee Wambo is now going to just sit here and take it. What a man. This Treant Protector doesn't give a damn about these creeps, but Queen of Pain is actually ready to go over in mid, is very close to that level 6. And for this Shadow Fiend, he has to be very careful about that. A Blink Scream and Shadow Strike level 2, Sonic Wave. Queen of Pain will have max mana because she does have that regen rune, and it's something the Shadow Fiend can't really handle. Although getting into a mana fight right now, Barashik is now going to pop that regen rune, get back up to full. Is almost ready for round 2, however, needs 10 seconds for Blink. And by that time, the Shadow Strike will have worn off for like 1 second, but this is actually a pretty big opening for the Quap that if the Shadow Fiend doesn't back off right now, may fall. Oh, level 6 on the Queen of Pain. The Shadow Fiend is going to salve and bottle up. Looks like he's out of the woods.
At least for now. Close call, but that opening really doesn't mean much of anything, especially with another raise connecting on Barashik, as the Shadow Fiend has evened out the damage trades quite well. The Tusk, we haven't talked about him a lot, is still doing reasonably well, especially compared to the Darkseer. Is getting slightly less experience and slightly less farm, but for a Tusk, that's completely fine. Maybe it's Talera's turn to start making an aggressive move, and maybe find a kill onto the Shadow Fiend, although with the Disruptor sitting behind him, it is difficult.
If he just TPs in right now, he will probably be spotted by this Observer Ward. It is going to time out soon, and usually just 6 minutes in, that's when the Observer Wards are first going to time out. He's going to grab an Orb of Venom, then go back up to the top lane. Now, I'm kind of okay with him doing either one of those things, but not both together. You don't really want to get into any damage trades with the Treant or the Razor. Orb of Venom is going to be completely useless. Maybe he's just going to look for the TP over to one of the other lanes soon, but I don't really know if this Orb of Venom is going to do much for him.
Right now, the lane's pushing back into him, so he's getting free experience for being up here, and will probably find himself level 5. So I like the move of Talera to come back up to this top lane, just a good recognition of how the creep equilibrium is changing. So he is going to find himself with a little bit more space. Although they're not going to line up together super well, the level 5 Tusk, just a little bit more damage means a lot at this early stage of the game, and we'll have to see if he's able to put that to good use. For now, they're just distributing the space as they like, and Tusk 75 experience still he has that next level up. The side pull is going to be operated by the Razor, but with no supports to protect it, I think the Tusk at the very least will be able to pull the range creep off of it and should be able to CS him down.
Got him. 1 range creep worth of experience. Not quite level 5 just yet. Tusk needs that level 6 mark to be truly effective. Still 0-0, no first blood. As it stands right now, the game is kind of even. Darkseer, Tusk having, well, about roughly equal times to one another. Razor Shadow Fiend slightly leading the Anti-Mage Quap, and again, not by a huge margin. Teleport up to the top lane. Quap is spotted completely right now. Going for Razor, though he is kind of weak, is possible. He's getting hit with Shards now, completely walled off, puts his ultimate up. Sonic Wave is available. They'll blow him up and grab first blood. Barashik gonna snag that one. Takes the entire mana pool of the Queen of Pain, is completely spotted out, yet still Talera's Shards are completely on point.
And nicely done by Team81, and the Queen of Pain, it's really good for her that she gets that kill, but mid lane Shadow Fiend is going to find himself a double raise kill onto the poor Lina. She was trying to get a little bit of extra experience, but level 4 support just can't stand up to that. Right now, Shadow Fiend's stacks are being invaded by the Queen of Pain, but with not a lot of mana to speak of, won't be able to steal any more than just one of those creeps. As she goes back towards mid, and will be just fine. The Shadow Fiend right now has no mana, but a TP in from Lina should be able to refill the bottle and give Barashik a little bit more sustain to keep in this lane. It would also be nice if Lina gave the clarity, but you can't ask for everything. Now they're going to look for the Shadow Fiend. The regeneration will be bottled up by him. And, well, as they go on the Disruptor, goes back on the Queen of Pain. Disruptor's going to be just fine. Head to Living Armor for good measure, too.
Now Arceus can land an LSA onto the Shadow Fiend. Has to be careful because another 2 Razors are coming. First one misses. Thunderstrike will not be lethal damage, nor will the following hits from that Thunderstrike, and it looks like everyone will slip away. The Shadow Fiend, though, does have a full bottle, so he can stick around in this lane, whereas the Queen of Pain has got to leave. So I guess in the damage trade department, slight win for the SF there, but still 1 for 1. Not really a huge deal going either way. Ooh, Talera almost dying to the Razor's Plasma Field. Will narrowly get out of there. Razor has gone for a pretty heavy agility build. This looks like a Yasha first item for him. Don't mind that one bit, actually. It's a great item if you're going to be playing a little bit more aggressive in the mid game. And it seems like the Darkseer is still tasked with going for that mech. Shadow Fiend hasn't made any huge moves towards it, although it has a lot of gold. What is going to be the item choice for the Shadow Fiend? I think in this game, you can probably justify either Shadow Blade or SNY.
I think it's going to be drums.
On the SF.
He's already gone for the bracer, and I think he'll just fully upgrade for that one. It kind of feels like the situation for Goomba is just get these early items up, the Aquila Yasha on the Razor towards an SNY of his own, and then just start balling up with the rest of the team. Maybe he is going to save up for a bigger initiation item since he is pulling so much gold inside the bank, but if he goes for like Tread's Drums, that would also be a reasonable way to join these fights. Still, the Darkseer is a little bit underfarmed where you'd like him to be. He just hasn't been able to get that much room, so the mechanism is going to be further delayed. So maybe after all, just going for the more traditional route is also reasonable. He'll buy the Treads and he buys an Aquila. Although these aren't going to stack, it's still a very cost-efficient stat item for yourself.
Sometimes you just gotta bulk up just a little bit so you don't get insta-gibbed by the Queen of Pains combo, which at this point is going to be used to gank the mid lane. It's poor Edie. He has a glimpse. That's not going to save him versus all these heroes. Shards, Snowball, both there, although the shards do not connect properly. Broshik's going to jump right over. Slay the Disruptor and beyond his merry way. Arceus going to run into the Shadow Fiend. Plasma Field, not going to connect actually, and that means the Lena's going to get to live. Not exactly the cleanest kill, but a kill's a kill no matter what, and they actually can continue since the Queen of Pain still has Sonic Wave. Arceus, level 5, not quite yet at that Laguna Blade mark. Oh, Broshik. Wait, did he just... Okay, he messed up and he didn't hold his invis or something like that. Not sure what went on there, but I guess there's no more kill potential here for this Quap.
Yeah, I don't think it's too big of a deal. Just go back to farming. Going for the kill there with the invis is probably not going to work out, although the Dire didn't have immediate vision of it. I think they would have just backed off and farmed inside the woods. It wouldn't have happened either way. The Tusk was hunting down towards bottom, not going to find an angle there either, but the Tusk has level 7 and he's ready to fight, whereas the Darkseer with only level 6 really isn't. Mid lane is a delicate situation with 4 heroes here as they snowball forward onto the Shadow Fiend. Walrus Punch, Sonic Wave, Scream. The Living Armor provides him some time, but it's only going to do that as the Lena Dragon Slave will secure the kill. And now Barashik is going to take a Leech Seed, but that hardly bothers them as they continue putting pressure on this tier 1. But since they're dealing with the tree, you need to take it now, or it's going to be full HP by the next time you come around. As Barashik goes for another dive, blinking forward, the invis on the tree is going to buy him some space. 2 points in that Shadow Strike. It's going to be close. I'm not sure if he dies. Probably not.
Yeah, it looks like he'll be fine. Worst comes to worst, he puts the armor on himself. That'll definitely protect him from enough. Although it doesn't even look like that's necessary. They force the tree all the way back, and they're going to still apply this pressure to the tower. Super aggressive play from Team81, just jumping on the Shadow Fiend. One that you don't really expect as an SF, since you're right next to your tower. You should, in theory, be safe. Team81, they're buying a hell of a lot of space by just making these small plays. The Living Armor is going to get a little bit of protection onto this tower, and it will be held in the end. But ultimately for Team81, their goal wasn't to take the tower. Their goal was to occupy Goomba's time so that Lench can get more free farm down towards bottom. Already has the Power Treads up, doesn't have the Quelling Blade. He has 1/2 of the Perseverance, or yeah, I guess he has the full of Perseverance on the Courier. But yeah, he's getting there, and there's not really much that Goomba have done to this Anti-Mage. There's not really much that they can do to this Anti-Mage, as Static Storm is still not up on Edie.
That was actually Lena's Voidstone, so he has yet to purchase that, but we'll be able to get that shortly. And even though he doesn't have as much farm as maybe you'd like to on an Anti-Mage, he's still keeping up with the Razor and the Shadow Fiend, and that's the most important part. For now, staying on even is fine for the Anti-Mage, and then you can pull apart later, or pull away later once you have that Battle Fury running. You can accelerate your farm at a pretty ridiculous rate. The Darkseer's here with a friend. The Shadow Fiend's around the corner, but killing off this Anti-Mage is almost impossible. If they had an Invis Rune, maybe, just maybe, Raze is going to connect, but he has 2 points Spell Shield, and the Anti-Mage will be just fine.
Lunch has actually gone for a no stat build, which is pretty weird. Like nowadays we see pretty much every single Anti-Mage go 1/1/1 in stats. Edie's gonna get jumped by Barashik. He dropped the Static Storm. He's gonna get a little bit of help from the armor. Barashik still surviving though. Grave is gonna come in time to kill up the Lena in the midst of things. Barashik is gonna take a Requiem, but he's still alive. Needs a blink out. Oh, it's a little bit late. I think he could have gotten it if he was a little bit quicker on that. I'm not sure. Wasn't exactly staring at the cooldown, but either way, it's a 2-for-1. Losing a Disruptor for that, I mean, that's a big trade for Goomba. They keep everyone in this mid lane. Looks like they want to go for this tower. And for Team81, yeah, that's a little bit too aggressive to try to buy space for this AM.
A really close call for the Queen of Pain. One of those situations where you somewhat regret going for the second point in Shadow Strike. She just needed a little bit less cooldown on the blink. She went for it immediately, she had it, but that animation is just a tad too long for her to be able to get out to safety. The Anti-Mage still is farming, and that's a nuisance, but it looks like Team 81's aggression has finally been punished in some substantial way in the mid lane. But that said, Brushik's still doing absolutely fine on this Queen of Pain. But the Shadow Fiend, on the flip side of the map, he's going to be going for the mechanism. They've actually decided to shift the farm, or shift the mechanism responsibility rather, onto the SF instead of onto the Darkseer. This is going to free him up to go for the Blink.
Well, Lynch is on the hunt right now. He's going to not see the Shadow Fiend, I don't think. He's going to run to chill, but he really wants to get this tower, or burn mana. That's also pretty good. He's maxed out the mana break at this point, and that is just a valuable asset just to be a harassment tool. Talera's going to run to the Razor, goes invis, and there is no detection here because why would there be up against Team 81's heroes? No big deal. Talera going to lose some damage, but still, he will get out of there alive. Anti-Mage is still not being answered on this bottom lane. This is a very soft hero at this stage, having gone for no stats. Yeah, has 2 points in Spell Shield, but he's happily farming it up down here, and Goomba, they're struggling to deal with the other 4 heroes. Like, this combo of heroes for Team 81 is really proving to be a little bit much for Goomba, I feel, and I don't really know if it gets much better for Goomba. Like, S and Y on Skabo is fine, the Mechanism on Shadow Fiend is fine as well, but these are kind of nominal jumps in power, not anything huge.
Yeah, they're more linear items. The mechanism may be excluded. Once you get it immediately, you can start pressuring down these towers, but Goomba have slowed down a lot. They haven't been able to get that much space, and also this tree is relegated to more of a support role. I don't think that catches anybody by surprise given how these lanes shook down, but he's also not going to have a very fast Aghanim Scepter, which could change this game for the better if you're rooting for Goomba right now, but it's just going to take too long, I want to say, for him to be able to pick up that item. And in that case, the name of the game for Goomba is hold these towers and make sure that the tier 1s don't start falling in the favor of Team 81. Right now, they all stand pretty comfortably. The mid lane one is a little bit banged up, but nothing the little living armor can't fix.
And even if he does get an Aghanim Scepter, like right now, there are so many ways that Team 81 have clearing out those trees. Like, LSA is a great, cheap way of doing it. Anti-Mage is going for Battle Fury, so he can chop down those trees every single time. Ooh, they do lose their courier, however.
Sonic Wave sniped by the Queen of Pain by the tier 2 tower in mid.
Well, it wasn't carrying anything, but still extra cash for the Radiant side. More acceleration for this Anti-Mage. 1200 is only 200 gold away from that secondary sword, and then he's going to really step up his farm. Goomba have taken down 2 towers so far, looking for a third down towards bottom. That's a fine start, but still, this is a really weirdly placed draft for Goomba, and I don't really know if they're doing well enough at this stage. They're gonna have to keep the Shadow Fiend alive for a very long time in these fights. It's possible, but there may not even be a tower on the bottom lane to drop. It's over towards mid where they're gonna throw the Sigil overhead. Skabo's gonna throw a Plasma Field. It's quite a bit of damage to the Queen of Pain. Tower is again held, but for Goomba to play this really slow game, I feel like that doesn't really benefit them, at least not nearly as much as it benefits Team 81.
Yeah, I think it's only a matter of time before they need to start picking up the aggression. Although that time might not be now. Ooh, Lynch dropping low while he's farming up. A double raise would put him very close to lethal range. Gets the tower denied. Can he get out safely? One race is going to miss, and with it, their hopes of killing off the Anti-Mage are pretty much moot. They have a vacuum. Are they going to get it? It's only level 1. Too late. And he's going to be back home in base. A close call for the Anti-Mage, but he's going to have his fresh Battle Fury up and running. It also takes away a little bit of gold from the enemy team as they hunt inside the woods. Static Storm Kinetic Field catches out 2 with the Overgrowth combination. It's pretty good. Is it good enough? Arceus dropping low. The Static Charge, or Thunderstrike rather, is going to be enough with a little bit more damage as Talera jumps forward for ED, but with living armor will survive. Dazzle is the only one to make it out of there, but even that is small consolation. The Goomba side take a really good engagement. The power of these AoE ultimates is shown, and I think they can use that to take a couple more 5-man engagements as they start grouping up inside this game. But also, the weakness of having lesser levels on Darkseer is shown. They're going to get the glimpse back. The Anti-Mage still able to blink out. However, he's going to be just fine, although pretty banged up.
Going for that max out blink and the 2-point spell shield, definitely helping him out there. In the meantime, mid lane pressured a little bit by the Razor, though it looks like Arceus was able to hold that. You can't really count on that caliber of combo to land every single time. Very hard to land it. Overgrowth into a straight 2-man Static Storm, but when it does, man, you're going to be cleaning house pretty much every single time. Mid lane still is getting pressured. Lina looking for the deny, can't get it. So hard to do that up against a Razor. And now Razor has his completed S and Y. Now is, I think, not one of Goomba's peaks, like maybe just Goomba's peak in general versus what Team 81 have, especially since they also have the Darkseer with the blink. Like, they are probably as powerful as they're going to get versus the Team 81 side. They're going to yank back Yoda, who's immediately going to TP out. Overgrowth's going to cancel it, and Yoda's going to fall to the Shadow Fiend. I'm not really surprised about that. It was a very easy kill on the Dazzle, and now they should be looking for some tier 2s, I feel.
Yeah, I think this game, although it's maybe not the situation where Goomba want to be in at this point, they're also not uncomfortable. 4 to 6 is a fairly low kill score, and they do have a sizable advantage, about 4,000 or so in the net worth and 2,000 in the experience. This is not stellar, but if they can maintain that lead, it's fine. The issue arises when the Anti-Mage is able to get ahead. On even farm, the Shadow Fiend can definitely give him a run for his money, as can the Razor. But if the Anti-Mage is left alone for a little too long, could come out with so many big items in the next upcoming minutes of this game. Anti-Mage for now is 0, 0, and 0. Team 81 want to keep it that way, and if anything, get him an assist with his Mana Void.
Arceus dropping half HP just by a couple of lightning bolts from Razor. That was a really weird vacuum wall combo from Chill. Just jumped right in on only the Queen of Pain. Dropped wall, dropped vacuum, did nothing. They're going to jump over Scabo. Sonic Wave is going to blow up the Razor. And they get the vacuum back, but it's way too late. The mechanism, unfortunately, is incoming a little bit too slowly. Tolera knows exactly where Wambo is right now. He's in these trees. Stay in the trees, as they say. Where's the Lina? Walrus Punch. Oh, they see him. They drop a Sentry Orbit. Rec Room about the high ground. Plus the ultimate from Wambo is going to annihilate the Dazzle. Snowball in. Wambo's still going to be fine. Oh, that trap. Having the Shadow Fiend up on the high ground. That Treant was pretty much just bait the entire time. They kill off the Dazzle. However, still, end result is they lose the Disruptor and they lose the Razor. Seems like Lench got that one by himself on the Disruptor.
Yeah, the Treant Protector pretty tanky naturally, and that Living Armor is very hard for 81 to deal with. Their dot damage from the Shadow Strike is a lot slower than other dots and takes a while before it starts really eating away at that Living Armor. Top tier 1 tower is going to be dropped low. Can they bring it down? Living Armor is not good enough, but to get the backing back onto Tolera. He's snowballing towards what looks like the Shadow Fiend and looking for the straight TP. Not going to happen. The damage is overwhelming as they'll find the Mega Kill for their Shadow Fiend.
Well, they lose the tower, and that's a tower that is something that Treant Protector could have been protecting. Although it looks like he's going to focus on the other towers now. Bottom lane still at full HP. Mid lane was really, really banged up. Got pushed a hell of a lot in this game, and it is very quickly recovering. So Goomba, they're holding on to their towers. They're starting to apply this pressure, although this Anti-Mage is farming, I think, a little bit too rapidly for Goomba's tastes. Like, it's a level 13 Anti-Mage at this stage. He has his Vlads. Now it's a Yasha, actually, being built by the Anti-Mage. I mean, this is a good item to have. It seems like Lench's skill and item build might be a little bit outdated, like the statless build, the Yasha after the Battle Fury. Don't really see this all that often nowadays, but hell, to each his own, right? It's working. He's getting free farm, so you might as well go for the Yasha.
I think the thought behind this is he just wants to Manticell as soon as possible so he can deal with the overgrowth. One of the few tools that Goomba have at locking him down and stopping him from blinking through around these fights. Although he is probably going to have to buy a salve or two in order to sustain himself in the woods, as he already has done. He just flew out one healing salve for his person. His Manticell is going to be significantly faster than if he backed off for that Vladimir's offering sidestep that we see very often right now. And it probably coincides with the timing window that Goomba are looking to hit and allow the Anti-Mage to be more battle ready. When you go for this max mana break build, the amount of mana that you're able to steal away from the enemy once you have that Manta is pretty absurd. And I think it's as you said, a reasonable choice. It's within the bounds of Anti-Mage. He's still able to accomplish Anti-Mage things, keep these lanes pushed out, and keep on farming.
Goomba, they're not really applying enough pressure right now, I feel. They're kind of stalling out. They have all their big items. They got the Blink Dagger on Chill. So far, he hasn't used it really to great effect. Mechanism on the Shadow Fiend, SNY, built on him, or being built on him, is already completed on Scabo. Bottom lane seems like a pretty free tower right now. 81, they can just spam out this Sonic Wave at this point for Brashik, but I don't really think it's going to be enough to hold this tower. Well, it's actually double SNY on the Shadow Fiend and the Razor. Here's an awkward stage where Razor and Shadow Fiend have gone for the exact same builds, except Shadow Fiend has a mechan advantage, and Razor was in the safe lane. That's a little bit strange, but the tower should drop. Wambo's looking for an overgrowth. He'll find it onto 3. Static Storm, Plasma Field is all up, vacuuming the third one into a wall. Great combos. They Plasma Field in. Parashik is going to jump out. Edie has a glimpse, but it seems like he couldn't get it in time, which is a little bit weird. Darkseer, regardless, draws 2 kills, and they get the tower up towards top lane. Tier 2 is being pushed by Lench. Chill's going to arrive. Can't really do much against this Anti-Mage, which is just going to blink into the trees. Is maybe going to be spotted by a Plasma Field. They know he's still not TPing out. They have field vision, but he's now going to TP out. No vision for Glimpse. He will survive. That was a great combination by Goomba, and for Team81, if they're not holding detection at all times, especially near the trees, they are susceptible to that.
Yeah, that was a beautiful combination, and Goomba are going to find themselves with a little bit more momentum, but Anti-Mage is now pretty much at parity with the Shadow Fiend, a little bit behind in farm, but not by much. And this isn't transitioning Goomba into any major tower pushes. Of course, they're not losing towers themselves. The split push coming out from Team 81 is not enough to take these towers outright, so the Living Armor will constantly be able to heal those up to a good amount of HP. But the tier 2 towers on the Radiant side are also looking pretty healthy. They haven't been able to really do that much when it comes to taking structures away from the Anti-Mage, and also from stopping him from farming. Lynch is having a grand old time on the Anti-Mage. Is now, for the first time in a while, he's the top net worth chart, top of the last hit chart. Anti-Mage is happy. He hasn't died a single time, and his only kill, although it wasn't a huge one, it doesn't really matter. The Anti-Mage is getting items, has his ultimate orb up and ready, and with this Manta style, is so much more difficult for them to bring down.
He's fighting for the Shadow Fiend for the top position in the net worth, but Anti-Mage can just run in towards the Shadow Fiend right now and at least burn his mana and, well, maybe not kill him off because the Shadow Fiend has a double damage rune, but can get away with that pretty freely. Anti-Mage is just getting to that point, and his Manta style is very soon to be up. The rest of Goomba, in the meantime, they are kind of smoked up. It's Tree and Disruptor smoked up with Skabo not. They're going to look for Barashik. Jump forward. Overgrowth is there. Vacuum back is actually going to pull Barashik out of the Static Storm at Plasma Field, I think, but with the damage, they'll have enough anyway. She was still rooted in place as the Vacuum does not actually break the roots. It's a kill on the Queen of Pain using quite a few ultimates, but these ultimates are not super high cooldown. They can continue onwards with this push, with no Aghanim's yet up on the Razor. It's going to be super slow to the point of really not even being worth it for Goomba.
Anti-Mage up towards top, gutting the creeps, and just being a general nuisance of himself. Looks like Goomba will try their best to keep on pushing out, but another difference in the items.
Well, Shadow Fiend was just spamming Requiem. The Anti-Mage blinked right in front of him. He has a double damage rune. I think that could have been a kill on the Anti-Mage. He's hitting for maybe 300 a pop versus a 700 health hero. I
mean, maybe. In the meantime, there's your guaranteed kill. Dazzle down towards bottom is going to be brought down by the Disruptor.
Tower in deny range, but you got a Treant on your side. Never deny, never surrender. Still, the Shadow Fiend is like chilling right up near Lynch. Maybe he's expecting the blink again. Round 2, baby. Requiem of Souls. Like, what's the plan here for the Shadow Fiend? I have no idea what he's doing, and now he's actually going to be punished because here comes the shards. It's not going to block. The snowball is going to connect, however. Blink forward from the Anti-Mage. They do get the LSA, backing back into a wall. The Shadow Fiend's still alive with the Mana Void. That'll kill him off. The mech up. Chill is going to be walking away. Should be fine. No more chasing power here from Lench. They kill out the Shadow Fiend, who was, for some reason, on top lane by himself, doing nothing. I don't know what that was.
That play would have been really cool if Shadow Fiend had like an Invis rune or something, and the Anti-Mage actually blinks on top of him, not knowing that the Shadow Fiend is there, just too far away for the presence of a Dark Lord to affect him before the blink, and then by the time that he realizes it's too late, then the Shadow Fiend drops like just a Requiem raise auto attack and it's dead AM. That would have been awesome. But the Anti-Mage new Shadow Fiend was there the whole time, so finding that is almost impossible, and relies on the Anti-Mage playing cocky. Not to say that's never going to happen ever, but it probably won't happen this game. However, the pickups for the Darkseer especially are going to make it a lot more easy for their team to find pickups on the AM and onto the Queen of Pain. He's going for a Scythe Rush, which I think is the perfect item. In fact, I was considering after the Aghanim Scepter that even Razor picks up a Scythe device. They just need that lockdown so badly, and Darkseer's getting it at a good timing window.
It's not too far away from that. In the meantime, Queen of Pain is going to go for a BKB. Soon Team81 are actually going to be able to fully fight as a squad, even into the Static Storm combo. You can BKB off of the Overgrowth and be free of that lockdown or root or whatever it's technically called. So that's a pretty good answer from the Queen of Pain, and Anti-Mage, of course, can Manta Split out of that one as well. And Lina can also Yules herself out of it. So suddenly that initiation style from Goomba has almost completely run its course. I mean, you could still get a little bit of slowdown onto the enemies, but not by a hugely substantial amount. Team81, they have their answers, and also Tusk has a snowball, so that'll just instantly get him out of it. It's really only the Dazzle is going to be shit out of luck if he gets hit with that. But for Goomba, they're playing this game very slowly. They see Roshan, Team81. They don't know that the enemy team are thinking about it while smoked up. They're now heading down towards the south. Arceus has a TP. He should be able to get out of here alive. This seems like just like a super passive game from both sides. Arceus, oof. Luckily, not being spotted by Wambo, but Chill actually finds him with the blind vacuum. Arceus has to Yule TP out right now. Blink forward Overgrowth, though, is going to cancel it. Now Arceus is definitely going to die. Going to try to bring someone down with her, but she doesn't even have the mana. Chill's going to grab that kill for free.
Yeah, really well done from the Darks here. The Dream Protector, I thought he'd expected the Lina to have gone her way, but she'd found herself a nice nook inside the trees that Darkseer also found. Worst case scenario, that's vacuum on cooldown when you're in a situation you're probably not going to fight, and in general that's great, especially considering that Darkseer was so close to his scythe already. That extra 300 or something gold from the Lina is going to put him almost at that mark, but up in the top lane, looks like we might have a fight.
Shadow Fiend snowballed in, Sonic Wave onto 3. Well, he's still alive for right now because he got turned invis by the trees. Going to turn around, raise twice, kill off Tolera. The 2 blinkers are going to blink away. However, one is going to come right back. It's the Queen of Pain. Has another blink in 2 seconds. Is there enough damage here? It seems like no. She'll jump down to the low ground. Skabo coming in way too late. He's not going to do anything. It's a nice save on the Shadow Fiend, and the guys into Requiem is a pretty obnoxious combo from Goomba, but it only gains them a Tusk. Like, that's fine, I guess, but that was Requiem down. That was ultimate from the Disruptor, from the Razor, from everyone, actually, for just a Tusk.
It should have been a lot worse. Granted, the Overgrowth was used to kill off the Lina, and everything else was thrown in there on top of there. It should have been a Shadow Fiend kill for Team 81. They commit a Sonic Wave, although that's off a cooldown because of the Aghanim Scepter. I think that's worth it for them, because now the Shadow Fiend can invest some of his bank, 3,200 gold, in his pockets that he just hasn't spent yet. I really want to see him go for an... I wasn't going to say Blink, but you know what? Blink's never a terrible item. Might allow them to get in position for one of those big team fight combinations. So I think it's absolutely fine. But right now, Goomba need to consider items that are going to help them push. And going for these tier 2 towers with the Blink on Shadow Fiend isn't that impressive, but more important is the Ags on Razor and the Scythe on the Darkseer. We've been harping on the lack of lockdown, but now that hard lockdown for the Blink Scythe initiation is up and running, and I think they have the appropriate damage, especially if Shadow Fiend can Blink and Requiem on top of the pig.
Or Blink after the Blink out from the Anti-Mage or the Queen of Pain. Like, the chase down is there one time for the Shadow Fiend, and that may just be enough. They are going to group up on bottom lane. Both sides, though. Goomba have a pretty nice wraparound going right now, and Wambo is currently walking around invis with the Blink Dagger, of course, available. Chill has a Blink Vacuum, and he has a pretty good angle at it. Wambo's going to land a 5-man Overgrowth. Where's the Vacuum? There it is, onto 2. Yoda already very close to dead, however, and they'll grind down the Dazzle really quickly. Anti-Mage also falls. The Shadow Fiend standing his ground right now. Pop the mech, and he will be just fine. As Skabo's going to chase forward, looking for Barashik, who's going to get struck by lightning till death. Tolera is going to get yanked right back into the fight. Edie's going to drop another field down. Tolera is trapped. He'll try to TP out. That's not going to happen, I don't think. It won't. The Tusk dies, and the gem drops. A clean 5-0. What initiation from that Treant Protector. Blink into Overgrowth onto 5? Are you kidding me? That's never supposed to happen.
That wasn't even like they were clumped up and out of position. I thought they were fine. Like, that was just on the edge for like every single one of those heroes.
It was like a perfect pentagram.
It really was. Like, it was beautiful to watch. Well played, Tree, and the follow-up from the rest of the team was on point, although definitely not as flashy. It works out for them. Team 81 did not expect that at all. They weren't prepared, even though we talked about the counters to that sort of initiation with the Mantis style, with the BKB. It just wasn't enough, and now Roshan's going to fall immediately after that 5-man wipe. Goomba have a new lease on life in this game because of that fight and because of that Tree's initiation. This game looks so much better for them. If we take a look at the graph, downward spiral.
Yeah, it was, I mean, 2,500, 30 minutes in is still technically like, I guess, an even game, or at least not a decisive lead for either side, but now it's a decisive lead for Goomba. They are not going to get anything off of the bottom lane, so it should be mid or top to actually be the target of focus. But still, that was the Blink Vacuum initiation from Chill. I mean, I guess following up the Treant, but you still have that Blink Sheepstick on these smaller scale engagements. And Skabo, with that Aghanim Scepter, is just going to put a lot of work into this tier 2 tower. Creepwave, of course, is fully here, and it's fully healthy, and it might even be mech'd up by this Shadow Fiend, but the tower's going to fall, and it seems like they have no interest in top lane. They want the Raxes, and that's a little bit more difficult. They will fall back, as no sense risking it. If they jump up for the double damage rune, then come back mid, I think they could probably
I like
do
the
that.
fake back with smoke, though. Somebody's going to farm this wave. They think they've fully retreated. For now, they're defensively positioned enough, but Oh, they could get caught out. Right now, Razor's going to TP up towards top, deal with the push coming up from the anti-mage, and might have blown the smoke, but for now, everything's going to slow it down. The smoke looks like it's not going to bear any fruits for Goomba, but the living armor is going to undo most of the damage that the anti-mage had put onto that tower, and they're getting some major items up, especially this Razor. I'd love to see an Assault Cuirass for him, and he's going to have that shortly, should he choose to go down that item path.
If the best way to kill off an anti-mage, just pure brute force physical, and Shadow Fiend has some minus armor, add a little bit more on top of that. Eye of the Storm also is fully physical, and with the Aghanim Scepter you can do some pretty ridiculous things with that. I think in general I like AC over Shivas on Razor. I wouldn't mind too much if he gets Shivas, but it seems like that's more up Darkseer's alley in this game. Skaba wants to be on the more offensive path. The tower will be, again, slowly siege up towards top. Random illusions from Anti-Mage. Not really a terribly huge deal for Skaba. He'll shrug that one off. Losing all of his mana pool, yeah, it's kind of inconvenient, but it's not going to kill him off. Up towards top, Wambo is actually stalking Talera and Lench both. Blink Overgrowth with the Blink Requiem. Is it going to happen? There's one onto Talera. He has Snowball. We'll cast it. Going straight towards the Shadow Fiend, but a blink away from the SF is going to bring this Tusk way too far away. And now he's going to get sheeped up and brought down. That was not the move that Tusk wanted to make there. So Tusk down, Goomba now have access to this tier 2 tower. The Tusk may respawn by the time the tower is really in trouble, but they still should be able to bring it down regardless, because 81 probably just won't want to defend.
Yeah, and the overgrowth from the Treant Protector, although we saw how monstrous it can be inside the fights, it's not a huge cooldown. It's only down for 40 seconds. By the time Tusk is back up, they'll probably have it for the next fight afterwards. The Anti-Mage is doing his best to split push across the map, and another drawing factor for the Assault Cuirass over the Shiva's Guard is it doesn't increase your mana pool. Under normal circumstances, having more mana is better if you're the Razor, but against the Anti-Mage, you could end up just being a Mana Void Bomb if you're buying one too many Mystic Staffs.
Skaba does some pretty decent damage even without that. Just landed 4 shots on the Anti-Mage, dropping down to half HP. It's not like the end of the world for the Anti-Mage or whatever, but tower's going to be destroyed up towards top. They get the Blink Hex onto Barashik. Requiem's being primed. Won't do a ton of damage with the vacuum back. They'll have just enough CC to kill off the Quap. She's down for a minute. That's a big, big kill, and they also are stalking out Yoda. Glimpse is available. It's too late, though. I think if Edie was mashing the Glimpse button at that exact position, they could have gotten that, but he obviously didn't know where the enemies were. So they're going to let that hero get away, but they're still not done yet, because Wambo is still stalking around as this Treant sees the Tusk again. And remember what happened last time. He this time has no backup, however, so Tree is just scouting for scouting's sake.
I think it's really unfair for Treant Protector that his overgrowth doesn't do damage, because the Treant Protector has set up so many fights for his team with it. He's only gotten 5 assists, though. That isn't reflective of his impact. I mean, if he got a Rampage for that 5-man overgrowth, I'd be completely fine. He deserved it. But now they're going to go for high ground. They have the Butterfly on the Shadow Fiend. They have the Assault Cuirass on the Razor, and these towers are falling quickly. Way faster than the Anti-Mage can put pressure, especially since he's not even doing that. He's farming inside the woods right now. Shadow Fiend's deep behind enemy lines because he can. Vacuum back another 3 with the wall, and now the overgrowth. They're not doing a huge amount of damage, but look back the Dazzle, and the Snowball's going into them. Sonic Wave over the top with the Mana Void. They'll blow up Darkseer, but is that enough to save their structures? The Shadow Fiend's going to lose his Aegis very close to the enemy base, but all while that's happening, they're pushing through the creep wave. Light Strike, Ray, Laguna Blade, everything in the kitchen sink thrown at the Shadow Fiend. He's going to buy a Ghost Scepter. Can he survive with it? I don't think so. Just going to delay the inevitable. Now he has an awkward Ghost Scepter in his inventory. They don't bring down the barracks, and with it, Team 81 are going to hold. Shadow Fiend probably getting a little ahead of himself.
He actually just blinked into the fountain. There's no displacement, I don't think, for Team 81. There's not even a Force Staff. So yeah, he actually just blinked into fountain and was taking the fountain. That's why he lost his Aegis for the first time. I'm not really sure if he has plans of keeping this Ghost Scepter around. Seems kind of mediocre up against what Team 81 have. I'd rather have a Satanic, personally. But Goomba, yeah, they get way too over-aggressive there, and they don't end up taking Raxes. That could have been a decisive lead. Instead, well, they're going to finally lose this Tier 1. It's about frickin' time, Team 81. Of course, the Treant Protector doing his job there, but Anti-Mage is going to claim that one. Has his BKB at the ready, and is going to continue onwards with this push. Sentry's dropped, however, that's a dire sentry, so Lench doesn't know that he's right next to Wambo. They're going to have to static storm him and overgrowth him and everything if they want a chance to kill him, but it's not going to happen. It's a shame that Goomba went that aggro. They could have probably just, you know, calmed down, gotten the kills, maybe forced out some buybacks, and then taken Raxes, and then, well, maybe lose a couple heroes in the retreat, but for the most part should have gotten out of there alive. Instead, they are still at parity with Team 81. Overgrowth is going to connect onto Lench. Manta Style has already been used. He's going to pop BKB this time, and now he's going to go straight towards Edie. Couple shots, no Mana Void just yet. There it is, going to do a lot of damage to Wambo as well, but not quite enough for lethal damage onto either. Anti-Mage down an ultimate, down a fresh BKB charge. Is going to be pretty sad about that. That's a pretty costly usage for pretty much nothing. And now he might actually get hexed up. He will get glimpsed back as well. Field is there. They have nothing else after that. Blink out from Lench. Oh, Shadow Fiend's going to blink right in. Everyone's going to blink right in. Requiem right on top. Oh, I think he's dead, guys. They see Talera running away. They can't catch up to him. They have another glimpse, but there's not enough mana here on the Disruptor. The Tusk is going to get out, but man, they wanted that Anti-Mage dead, and by God, they got him.
You don't ever get to see something like that, but Anti-Mage caught himself out inside the trees, and that was the perfect setup that they needed for the Requiem, so it works out for Goomba. Anti-Mage has buyback, but he really doesn't want to spend it, as you already touched on. His BKB's on cooldown for 20, even if he does buy back now, and his Mana Void is too. His ability to fight is almost moot. They'll blink in, they buy back on the Anti-Mage, but a Hex over on the Queen Pain, backing back onto both. They're dropping pretty low. The Snowball's good. It connects on a lot of heroes. They'll throw Laguna Blade the way of Scabo. Can they bring down this Razor? He's very tanky, but not quite tanky enough. One more swipe. They'll be able to get him. Huge overgrowth, however. It's just going to keep them at bay. They can't quite follow up on any of these kills as the Anti-Mage chases forward. He has his BKB and Mana Void at the ready. Won't need it for the tree kill. And now is free to look for more. Blinks aggressively. ETE's the one he really wants to Mana Void right now. But it looks like they're going to have to settle for the Darks here. There is no Manta Style for 4 seconds. Guess it's the wrong direction. It looks like everybody from Goomba will survive. Although that is a costly defense coming out from Team 81.
Buyback on the Anti-Mage means his next item, Butterfly, Heart, or otherwise, is going to be up in a very long amount of time. And unfortunately for Team 81, they can't instantly slide into the Roche Pit and grab another objective there. In fact, I don't think they can get any objectives off of that minorly won fight. And compared to the Anti-Mage's farm to the Shadow Fiend, still SF is keeping up. Granted, SF has 11 freaking kills and has a Butterfly right now, but still the Anti-Mage is not really where he wants to be. He is on top, but he wants to be firmly on top, like with a 3k lead at least over the next highest. And he's just not there yet, especially that buyback not really helping him out. So 11-24, Goomba still with pretty good control of this game, but they still have to worry about this Anti-Mage. They can kill him off. They have proven that. But now that the Anti-Mage has a BKB, now he has access to potentially another health item, whether it is that Butterfly or Heart. And I think it should be either one of the two. And killing him off in the future is going to be a lot more difficult.
Yeah, I really think Butterfly would help this Anti-Mage so much inside these fights. A lot of the damage is coming out from the Shadow Fiend and from the Razor, and that evasion really does work wonders for your Anti-Mage, and also doesn't sacrifice his damage for it. It's a great DPS item as well for him. Goomba have been repelled, but if they're able to pull off another kill on the Anti-Mage, we're in a situation where for the next 5 minutes, Anti-Mage is running without buyback because of the timer, not because of gold. And also Lena, her buyback timer is still on CD for 2.5 minutes. So it looks like this is a window where Goomba can take Roshan, and Team 81 are going to have to think twice about contesting it. Unless they know they can take this fight, they probably won't, just because of the fact if they lose their Anti-Mage now, it could all be over.
And if they do try to contest, and if they lose their Anti-Mage without taking like a full 5-man wipe, they will just lose the game. They can't defend up against that. Unless they somehow kill off the Razor and the SF, in which case, yeah, the game will continue. But for Team 81, it's a Refresher Orb for the Queen of Pain. As nice as that is, to try to fight over the Roshan, it's a little bit better defending high ground, I think. Goomba not quite patient enough to stick in that Roshan pit, wait for it to respawn. They will instead try to go for Lench up towards top. And they know the upside of being able to kill off this AM. Blink, Sheepstick, still the best way to initiate Lench. He is going to blink south. Chill is ready and waiting. There's the vacuum back. There's the Hex. Lench in a lot of trouble. Vacuum, in the wall is going to be dropped. Lench pops his BKB, is not able to blink out because of the perfectly timed overgrowth from Wambo. Anti-Mage is down for 97 seconds. This is going to be a Doom push down mid lane. Double Sonic Wave. Good luck, Queen of Pain. You better hope that's enough.
It does instantly kill off the Disruptor. Oh no, not even that. She'll need the double scream too.
They found Yoda.
Yeah, and they're going to get the glimpse back onto him. This is a very easy kill into a Dazzle. Not enough HP to survive. There's no way for him to get out. Now it's a 5 versus 3 exchange. Sonic Wave's good, but is it that good? I think they have to give up racks here, whether they want to or not. They just don't have a way to connect, and my goodness, the Dream Protector play has been on point this game. Wambo has impressed me at the very least with his overgrowth. I questioned the pick a little bit, but it's working out so well, and under the tier 4s, they'll find Talera, raise this connect, vacuum back, they catch out the Queen of Pain, she gets the Refresher off, we'll be able to throw out one ultimate, but doesn't have the mana for the second. They don't even kill off the Darkseer, who survives by some miracle, although will lose his life to a couple of extra shots for the towers. They still get the barracks and now can swing down towards bottom for another set. Anti-Mage, although he can in theory push out against these lanes, just isn't far enough ahead to where he can win this game. Although he might be able to hold, taking the enemy's base is another story entirely. He just doesn't have it.
And by the time he actually is up, Goomba may be up a full 3 Raxes. They're going to at least take out this tower with the Eye of the Storm still active, plus the Assault Crest minus armor. They're going to jump in straight for Arceus. Another Sonic Wave is going to cut through 3. However, the Shadow Fiend still survives. He's going to try to go for Barashik. He's going to blink to the back line, go for Yoda instead. He still is alive, given the living armor of Wambo. ED, however, taking tower aggro, will eventually die, give up the gem. Anti-Mage is now up, along with the Lina. Can he get any of these kills? Maybe he gets the Treant Protector. He's going to jump forward up to the high ground, looking for the Shadow Fiend. Shadow Fiend has 1 blink, Anti-Mage has an infinite number, and he's going to see him with the Observe Ward. Mana Void, pop goes the SF, sees Scabo, probably doesn't have enough to kill off the Razor, especially when Razor's going to straight TP out. So it is going to be just 2 Raxes for Goomba, but that's not really the great thing for Goomba. The great thing is that they cashed in on that last fight. Total tally right now as well. Razor is going to grab a straight BKB. Darkseer finishes up his Refresh Orb. We got an Aghanim Scepter completed on the Disruptor with 1,200 gold to boot. And Shadow Fiend has 5,700 Gs. Like, Goomba, even though, like, let's say, hypothetically, they don't take any Raxes there, they still get so much gold so that the next push is going to be that much easier.
Yeah, and then also the tree has his Aghanim Scepter finally. It's 44 minutes in the game. This gets a lot worse as the game progresses. The side of Team 81 will be able to deal with these trees reasonably well, but not enough, especially since I don't believe they're controlling a gem anymore. The gem is inside the Dyer's base, but nope, yep, they're going to try for it. Blink into the 5th, the Stag Storm Kinetic Field down on the ground. Chill's dropping low, gets the backing back, not going to do anything. The Anti-Mage needs this Aegis, and it looks like he might be able to grab it as the Razor and the tree come into the pit. They're going to get the stun over onto the tree and Protector. He's held in place. The Anti-Mage gets the Aegis to the Immortal, fighting against the Razor, but with 56 damage stolen, isn't doing nearly enough. The Razor, however, stands alone and will go down. A disaster for Goomba. There's no buyback on this Razor. They've cashed in on so many big items that there is a glimmer of hope for Team 81, although it's very slim because the bottom lane's pushing in, because mid lane is very hard to push out with all of these super creeps. Can they do it?
Well, and that was a extremely bold attempt from Goomba. Unfortunately, they don't go all in at the same time. If the Darkseer blinks in with the Static Storm, and the tree is there, and the Razor is there, I'm pretty sure they, at the very least, take Roshan and maybe take down the Anti-Mage again, in which case, GG, Goomba win. Instead, they go in with the Darkseer and the Disruptor right into an LSA, perfectly timed, whether intentionally or not, by Arceus, and then they just immediately crumble. And now the push is going to commence back towards the Dire base. Lench is pretty big at this point, doesn't have a basher, so locking down the Anti-Mage, or locking down the Shadow Fiend rather, kind of difficult. Backing back into the wall. She's going to jump right over it, try to go for Chill with the Mana Void. That's not going to do nearly enough damage. Now Lench in a little bit of trouble, actually. Blink forward for the Refreshed Hex. They drop another wall. It's not going to do anything, as everyone's just going to blink right over it. Vacuum back a little bit of damage onto Lench, but he'll jump out of there just fine. Barashik, same thing. Glimpse is going to be used on Yoda. Okay, well, they might chase down. They're not even going to bother chasing down that Dazzle. I guess it's the defense from Goomba. It costs them a refresher usage on the Darkseers. That is pretty expensive. But Team 81, they don't get Raxes, and that's really what they want at the very least, because their base is looking kind of rough right now. And for Goomba, now that they're all up alive again, now that they all have buyback, I think, at least Shadow Fiend does. That's the important one. The Razor does not. He should have enough buyback just by pushing in. They can look for Megas.
Yeah, I don't think the big deal here is that Team 81 wanted Barracks with that push. They kind of needed it. If they don't bring this game close to even when it comes to structures, they're just going to lose as the game progresses. It does cost them the buyback and refresher usage of the Darkseer, but that's a small price to pay to make sure that Team 81 aren't going to find a foothold in this game. The Anti-Mage just doesn't have the items yet. He has an Aegis, and he is going to have a Butterfly and a BKB available for this next fight, but is that enough? I just don't see this Anti-Mage doing nearly the damage that he needs to inside the fight, especially if he gets linked up after blinking in.
His backup is pretty hefty. I mean, we have a Refresher Orb on Queen of Pains with double Sonic Wave, a hell of a lot of pure. Arceus also has his Aghanim Scepter, so adding a little bit more pure damage on top of that. It's not bad backup for the Anti-Mage, but as far as sustaining a long, drawn-out fight versus a Razor and Shadow Fiend, you really do need to have a little bit more than just those pure damage nukes, especially since these heroes have buyback, or I mean, Razor should have buyback soon. They have almost what seems like a desperation push coming in from Team 81. Goomba, they have, well, buyback on the Shadow Fiend, that's about it. Lench is once again going to go up on the high ground. Blink Hex is a threat. He is going to get hit with the Medallion, taking a lot of damage from this SF, who has an MKB at this point. Blink, or Vacuum back into the Overgrowth, into the Static Storm. Here comes the Requiem. And what a Requiem it is. Gonna kill off 3. Mikelorus survives because of the snowball. Anti-Mage is going to respawn. BKB's up. Kills the courier so that at least they get something on the way out. But Lunch is gonna get chased down. Illusion's not gonna do it. They have almost full vision. They get the glimpse back. Right in time, right into the clutches of Shadow Fiend. He's gonna get worked down. Has another blink in 1 second. It's not gonna happen. Ultra kill for the Shadow Fiend. What a combo from Goomba. And that is definitely gonna be game.
Consistently in this game, Goomba have been on point with their teamfight execution. We questioned their draft a little bit. It didn't feel like it meshed together super well in the early game and in those early fights, but when it came to the mid-game execution, they were on point. It had been on fire. All of these overgrowths have been miraculous in the 5-on-5 exchanges. Of course, there have been a couple of overgrowths here and there just to cancel TPs and what have you, but then also the vacuum backs. It really has been working so well for them. Barashik is there with the BKB, will throw out as much as he can to try and hold, but it's going to be Mega Creeps going the way of Goomba, and I think this victory is well deserved. They played for it hard.
You know that first fight near the Dire Tier 1 where they get the overgrowth in the Static Storm, and I'm like, oh, well, that's nice, but you can't always depend on that to happen.
It always happens.
Nom. I'm going to eat those words, and they're delicious, at least for Goomba. That always happened, man. Like, the overgrowth not only landed, but landed at the perfect timing. Like, I think the best one in my mind was the one where they were chasing the Anti-Mage up towards top lane. He popped his BKB, was mid-blink animation, but overgrowth cut through BKB and does interrupt you from blinking. And that's, like, so difficult. It, like, maybe is accidental. I'm going to assume it was on purpose because all the other ones have been. Yeah, it's just wee Wambo to overperform as the Treant Protector is something we very rarely see on this hero, so it's quite a treat. That's going to give Goomba another shot, guys, in the next round. They're going to be going up against Ancient Warriors. That's going to be coming up very soon. It's going to be the last game of the day. I'm beat. Hopefully that one is just as good. Or hopefully we have some good displays as we have seen from this Treant Protector. Not to take anything away from anyone else in Goomba. They did their job pretty much to a T. But that's going to be coming up soon, guys. If you enjoyed, don't go anywhere. I'm Mikelorus. I've been joined by GrandisV. You can follow us on Twitter at Mikelorus, at GrandisV. And we'll both be right back in just a little bit.